Hi, I'm Oliver, and here's your filling machine and label machine. And so there are 5 parts here: the bottle vibrating plate, and the filling machine itself, and the cap vibrating plate, and the filling machine, and the printer. So this stuff is pretty big, so I will divide them into small parts and tell you how to install them, and also how to operate them. So I'm going to tell you how to install the filling machine first. You can see in the back of the machine there are tubes and cables with cables here, and there are also labels in the back of the machine. So you just need to match the corresponding label, and for the tube you have to plug in, and for the cable you have to plug in and screw the nut to fasten them. And as for the gas tube, there are 2 inputs. So one input to the air letting, and another one is going to plug in the air adjuster. And here is the output of the gas tube. So you have to plug in one to the cap vibrating plate, and another one to the label machine. As for the pump tube, you have to place the head of the pump tube to the needle and place the lure here. Here is the pump. You have to place it here. And lock it. And another side is just insert to the liquid. And next, I'm going to tell you how to install the vibrating plate. So actually, the filling machine have 2 special parts to fix it. The one is located in the left of the machine, and for the cap vibrating plate is in the back of the machine. So you just need to put the silica gel on the special part and put the cover plate on it, and use 3 screws to fasten it. And next, I'm going to tell you how to adjust the vibrating plate. So you have to match the outlet of the vibrating plate and the bottle receiver. So with 1 or 2 millimeters gap. And if you find that the outlet is located in the left or right of the bottle receiver, you have to use the special screwdriver to lose the screw here, which is located in the center of the plate. You have to lose it, and then you can adjust the left or right to the right position. And if you find that the outlet is higher or lower than the bottle receiver, you have to adjust the 4 screws to place it in the right position. And for the cap vibrating plate, they are in the same way. And now I'm going to tell you the components and the functions of the components. So as I said before, here is the bottle vibrating plate. So the function of it is convey bottle to the bottle receiver by vibrating. And here is the bottle receiver. And so the bottle will go through to the turntable by the bottle receiver. And then the turntable will run for 1 step to here. So you can see here is the bottle reverse detector. So it will alarm when the bottle is reversed. And the next one is a bottle detector and a needle. So this detector is going to check if there is a bottle here. And if the detector is good, the needle will fill water to the bottle through the pump. And the next one is a punch and a pre-screw mechanism. So when the bottle to here, the cap vibration will transfer the cap to here, and then the punch will punch the cap to the bottle, and the pre-screw mechanism will pre-screw the cap. And here is a cap detector, which is going to detect if there is a cap on the bottle. And here is a liquid detector, which is going to check if there is liquid in the bottle. And here is a screw mechanism. When the bottle and the cap go to here, this mechanism will run and screw the cap. And then the bottle will go to the exit of the filling machine. And here you can see there are many buttons here. So this one is the main switch to control the machine run and off. And here is the emergency stop, which means that if you meet any emergency, you have to press it. And if you want to release it, you just need to follow the clockwise to rotate it. And here is the run and pause button. And here is the screw speed adjuster, which is going to control the force of the screw mechanism. And I will turn on the machine to show you how to operate it. So here you can change your language to English and Chinese. And here is the alarm button, and you press it. You can see the current alarm and the historical alarm. And you can also clear the current alarm and the historical alarm by press the corresponding button. And here is the sensor test. So the sensor test is to check the sensor is good or not. So I will use the emergency stop sensor as an example. So you can see the circle is bright, right? So if I press the emergency button, it will become green, and if I release it, it will become red. And here is the run interface. You can see that there are three coefficients here: the limit, the count, and the total. So the limit means how many bottles you want to fill today. And if you want to fill countless bottles, you can just press it and input 0. So 0 means you can fill countless bottles today. And the count means how many bottles you have filled until now. And the total means that how many bottles you have filled when the first time you use it till now. And you can also see that there are many buttons here. You can turn on or turn off the corresponding mechanism here. For example, if I want to place the bottle by hand and I do not want to use the vibrating plate, I can just turn off the feed bottle. And next time when I run the machine, this one will not work, so I can just place the bottle by my hands. And next, I'm going to tell you the manual interface. So this part is going to check if any malfunction happen. You have to press corresponding button to see which one is broken. So I will use the punch mechanism and the screw mechanism as an example. So if I press the punch cap, this mechanism will run, right? And also if I press the screw button, so this part will run. And next one is the pump manual. So this part is going to wash the pump. So we recommend you use the pure water and the 75% alcohol and pure water. So each procedure is like 10 to 15 times. And you can also set the volume of all for one clean. And next, just press the clean and stop button to control it on and off. The next one is the calibration interface. So you can see there are three numbers here. The first is coefficient. And you cannot change it because it is the inner algorithm. And the second one is the ideal volume. The third one is the real volume. So you can just select 5 to 10 bottles and measure the value and find the average value and price it and press the real one to here, and for example it's 24, and press the calibrate to make it close to the ideal volume. And the final part is the program interface. So you can see there are many coefficients here. So the capacity means how much volume of liquid that you want to fill. And push cap time means the time that the push keeps when it goes down. And pre-screw delay time means the delay time when cap fall to the bottle. And hold cap time means the time that the holder holds the bottle. And there are also the sand bottle voltage and the sand cap voltage, which means the voltage of the bottle vibrating plate and the cap vibrating plate respectively. And the bigger the value is, the more powerful the plate vibrates. And the screw cap time means the time that the screw mechanism screws the cap. And in the page down, there are backflow speed, pump speed, and no bottle stop. So backflow means if you find the tip of the needle appears drop, then you have to set the backflow to suck back the drop. And the speed means how many bottles can be filled in 1 minute. And here is the real bottles are filled in 1 minute. And the pump speed is the speed of the pump. And the pump always work 2 times for 1 bottle. And we recommend you that set the first value, which is greater than the second value. And the third one is the real speed of the pump. And the final one is no bottle stop, which means when there is no bottle in the plate, and the turntable will not stop, it will continue to run for 20 steps, and then the machine will stop. And when you set all the coefficient down and you want to save this recipe and use it next time, you can just press the save recipe. We have 10 recipes from 0 to 9. So if next time you want to use, for example, if you want to use the recipe 6, you can just input 6 and read the recipe and just use recipe 6. And next one, I'm going to tell you how to install and operate the labeling machine. But before it, I have to tell you how to connect the filling machine and the labeling machine. So you have to match the exit of the filling machine and the bottle receiver of the label machine with 1 or 2 millimeters gap to make sure that the bottle can pass smoothly. And here is the back of the labeling machine, and you can see there are cables with labels around the cable, and also in the back of the machine there are labels on the machine. So you just need to match the corresponding label and plug in the cable and screw the nut to fasten it. And there are 2 gas holes in the left of the machine. So you have you can see the label is push A and push B. You just need to connect the push A and push B from the gas hole to here. And now I'm going to tell you the components and the function of the. So here is the bottle receiver, and there are belts in both sides. So the bottle will pass to zero, and here is the push bottle detector. And the function of it is to check if there is a bottle, and if the detector is good, then the push cylinder will push the bottle to the rubbing mechanism. And here is a label detector, which is going to check if the label is on the bottle, and then the bottle with the label will go out of the machine through the rubbing mechanism. And here is the third detector, which is going to check if there are labels on the back paper. And here are three motors. So this one is for the rubbing mechanism, and this one is for the label mechanism, and this one is for the waste collecting mechanism. So here is a printer and its controller, and there are many rollers here, and here is the label release components. So the label will, from the release component to the printer, in this way, and finally arrive the waste collector. So here is the front of the labeling machine. There is a run and a pause button, and here is the emergency button. So when you face any emergency, you should press it, and if you want to release it, just rotate it, follow the clockwise. And here is the main switch to turn on and off the machine. So let's turn on the machine. So there are several components. The first one is sensor test. So these three sensors is for this part, and the fourth sensor is for the print part. So this I0.5 is the label, and the I0.4 is for the photo push, and this one is for the label detector, and the next one is label menu. So you can press the two buttons to drop forward and drop backward of the label machine. So you can see here, if I press the drop forward, it will work, and the backward is in the same way. And this one you need to input the length of the label, but you have to pay attention that the length of the label, you have to add one side of the blank, which means that the label itself and one side of the blank of the label. And the second is the real length of the label, which means you can select 5 or 10 label from the bottle and to measure the length and find the average value and input it and press collaborate to make it more close to the ideal length. And page down is label rubbling. So label rubbling is actually this part. You can press the drop forward and drop backward to run here, and this three blanket is at the same way. And next one is the manual part. So here the first button is bottle in. If you turn on this part, you can find the belt here is running. And the second one is the push bottle. If you press it, you can see the cylinder here will push the bottle through the rub mechanism. And the third one is the roller. So if you press it, you can see here the roller is working. And one label and one print means you can just manual to label just for one, and the print is at the same way you can use your hand to just print one print in the printer. 停一下吧。And in the program interface, you can see there are many coefficients here. The first one is the number of front marks, which means we always recommend you to put 2 marks in front of the sensor. So we always input here the value is 2. And the second is the distance between label, which means the length of the label and plus the one side of the blank. And the third one is the distance of sensor. This means the distance of pre-labeling the bottle. So if the distance is too long, the label will winked, and if the distance is too short, you cannot print the label. So you have to try to find the best value and input it. And the next one is the label speed and the rubbing speed, which means the speed of the labeling mechanism and the speed of the rubbing mechanism. We recommend you set the same value to each one. And this speed, which means that how many labels can you print in 1 minute. The first one is the ideal value, and the second one is the real value. And the last one is the back delay times, which means the collector will work after labeling in 0.3 seconds. And the last part is the run interface. So you can see there are 3 coefficients here. The limit means how many labels you want to print today. And the count means how many labels you have printed today. And the total means how many labels you have printed from the first time that you use it. And here is 2 switch. This one is print. You can turn on and turn off the printer here. And the second is simulate, which means if you set everything down and you want to test if the machine works good, you can turn on the simulate. And here are 2 green circles, which means there are 2 labels in front of the detector. If there are just 1 or 0, then the circle will become red. And 1 label just means the whole mechanism just run for 1 step to label 1. And the start and stop is just to begin and stop the machine. So here is the labeling machine.